Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Cosmic Consciousness with Kassia. On this channel, we discuss all aspects of the ascension process. I have a variety of services that I offer to assist in your awakening journey, and you can find those listed in the description box below. So today we're going to be talking about Mercury retrograde. This is the third Mercury retrograde of 2021, and it is happening in the sign of Libra. And this is going to be occurring between September 26th and October 18th, 2021. And then we will have the shadow period, which extends until November 2nd. And so this is where Mercury is passing back through the zodiac to the original point where the retrograde began. And so what a retrograde is when a planet appears to be moving backwards in the sky from our vantage point on Earth. And when this happens, we experience the energies in a different way. They kind of get flip-flopped. It goes from a more extroverted to a more introverted experience. It gives us a shift of perception. It allows us to see things from a different side, from a different vantage point, from a different angle. And this is very, very important when it comes to Mercury, because Mercury is the planet that represents our minds. So Mercury goes retrograde 3 to 4 times a year. And it does this because it's giving us a chance to balance our mental energies. It's giving us the point when it's direct where we're taking in energy. And then when Mercury goes retrograde, we're processing all of that information. We're integrating all of that information. And we're also getting a chance to see, like we said, from a different perspective. We're getting to see also from the subconscious things within our minds that we don't necessarily look at or think about on a regular basis come up to the surface to be viewed. That way, no aspect of our minds is truly untouched. We're able to see from these different perspectives. We're able to see the things that maybe we have repressed or suppressed that are ready to be seen and important to be seen. So I guess it's not that nothing goes untouched. We have, getting into the whole shadow aspect and all of that. That's not really Mercury's domain. However, what's ready to be brought to light within the consciousness is able to be brought to light within the consciousness. We'll put it that way. So that's kind of the purpose, the integration, the seeing things from different perspectives, the bringing up things that we may have missed, that we may not have acknowledged, that are ready and needing to be acknowledged. And these retrogrades that we've had in 2021 are particularly important because they're all in air signs. Mercury is an air planet, right? It is the planet of the mind. So the air signs are its domain. Mercury is the ruler of Gemini, one of the air signs. It also rules Virgo, which is an earth sign, but also very mental because of its rulership by Mercury. So Gemini and Mercury, or Gemini and Virgo rather, tend to have experience, like, what's the word I'm looking for here? Intense experiences of these retrogrades sometimes, as many of us can. We have this third retrograde in the sign of Libra, which is cardinal air, so cardinal signs may experience this very profoundly as well. And also depending on where Mercury's transiting in your chart, what natal planets it's aspecting are going to determine the ways that you feel this energy the most powerfully. But this has been an important set of retrogrades, moving through the air signs, really moving through and revolutionizing the way our minds work, the way we process and communicate information. Our minds have been going through an overhaul during 2021. Not only have we had these Mercury retrogrades in air signs, but we've also had that north and south node, the north node in Gemini, the south node in Sagittarius, really restructuring our belief systems, and a whole bunch of eclipses along that Gemini Sagittarius axis. And we're going to have that final eclipse in Sagittarius in December that's really going to be synthesizing and wiring in some of these new belief systems for us. So a lot of energies, and then with that Taurus Scorpio energy, there's a lot of those shadow energies too that are brought to light. So really our consciousness expanding exponentially, our minds, and it is so important for our minds to be refined at this time because our minds determine everything, right? Our perception determines our reality. Also, as the energies on this planet pick up, we are manifesting much more quickly, right? That lag time between manifestations is getting shorter and shorter. And so what we think about, we bring about. So we really need to have this mastery of the mind, because if we are constantly thinking about, like we always talk about, the things that we don't want, if we're constantly worrying, if we're getting caught up in this mental masturbation, these cycles of just worry and stress and anxiety, that's what we're creating in our lives. So we want to have a grip on this. We want to have a grip on our mental states in order to be manifesting and creative that much more productively. It's so important. It's so important that we let go of these old faulty belief systems so that we can create new ones, because our belief systems are part of our subconscious mind. Right? Sometimes we're conscious of them. A lot of times we're not conscious of them. But they are, once again, dictating our reality. And so we're really taking control back of our reality during 2021 by taking control back of our minds. And so we saw that first Mercury retrograde earlier this year in the sign of Aquarius. And so this was really allowing us to revolutionize our minds, to free our minds, right? And then we had this Mercury retrograde in Gemini, which was bringing in the new ideas. It's bringing in the new information. It's making us fresh and teachable again. And now in Libra, we're harmonizing and balancing all of these energies. All of these upgrades to our mental bodies are really being integrated, harmonized, and balanced. So this is really, really powerful. There's some interesting things astrologically that are happening during this Mercury retrograde. So we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get into a card reading, and we're going to see just what comes up as far as guidance as we are navigating these next few weeks. So as Mercury turns retrograde, it is in a trine to Jupiter. So this is a really beautiful energy. This is a really expansive energy. This is just showing us how much further our perspective and our mental state is going to continue to expand, grow, and evolve. And it's really highlighting this theme, not only of expanding our minds, but this theme of justice, this theme of equality, right? Because Jupiter is a planet that's very much, it's about our faiths, our morals, our ideals. It is about justice and fairness and integrity. And Libra energy is very much about that too. And Jupiter is in the sign of Aquarius, which is also a sign that cares very much about integrity and that really cares about the collective, right? It's a humanitarian sign. So we're really seeing how important it is that our faiths and our ideals are reflective of our truth, and that we live that truth in the world, and how that truth impacts the greater world as we move forward. We also have, when Mercury completes its retrograde, it's going to be doing so as Jupiter is stationed in the sky. So that's really powerful too, and that's just enhancing these energies even more. And those of us who have found our voice, who have stood in our integrity, who have allowed these natural processes to expand us, to grow our perspectives, and who are actively participating in the world as a result of that from this expanded place, can expect incredible blessings coming in as Jupiter turns direct on the 18th of October. Let's see. Yes, we also have, and Mercury has been a part of this T-square for a little while now. Last week we had this T-square going on. We still have it going on right now. This T-square between Pluto, Eris, and Mercury. And so we have Pluto squaring both Mercury and Eris. And in multiple videos, in the Astrological Energies videos, we talked about the significance of this T-square, how it's really bringing to light injustices, anywhere where power has been abused or distorted. Remember, Pluto in Capricorn stands for authority. And so anywhere where people in positions of authority and power have used that in a distorted way, right? Really breaking free of that control, really liberating our minds. So once again, that liberation of the mind energy coming back up, gaining power and control of our minds, right? And noticing and seeing anywhere where injustice is playing out, the attention being drawn to that, to a point where we can no longer ignore it. So things are getting louder. Injustices in the world are getting louder. They are becoming noticed more and more. We are seeing injustices both in the world and in our own lives. And we are being asked, what do we want to do about that? Do we want to allow that to continue, or do we want to stand up? Right? Do we want to speak out? So that's a big, big energy. And it is no mistake that Mercury is turning retrograde while this T-square is active, really calling us into our empowerment, really asking us to find our voice and really showing us from a different perspective, right? We've seen one perspective when Mercury was direct. Now Mercury turns retrograde, still as part of this T-square, and we're getting another taste of a different perspective, a different way of viewing it, which is really just allowing the further expansion of whatever is coming through in our individual minds here. Let's see, is there anything else that I want to... Yeah. Breaking free of the mind control, communicating the truth. Moving from this place, this role of being a bystander, both in our own lives and in the world at large, and becoming more of an active participant. That is a huge, huge energy. We also have on October 9th, Mercury retrograde moving into a conjunction with Mars and the Sun. So this is really powerful energy, and this is just happening a few days after the new moon, which makes it that much more potent. So this is really moving us forward. It's activating this new and emerging mental state and our new and emerging levels of perception, especially when it comes to our perception of ourselves and our own capabilities. So we're getting a new understanding of what it is that we are actually capable of. And that is so incredibly, incredibly beautiful. We have on the 17th, the day before Mercury stations direct, an opposition with Chiron in Aries. And so I feel this is a really deep cleansing of the mental body. And so we are going to be confronting some deep wounds relating to our empowerment and our ability to think and communicate in integrity, right? Integrity is when we are communicating the truth that lives within us. We know and have identified this truth, and we're able to communicate that. Not only are we able to communicate that, we're able to live that. And so this is where any wounds around that are coming to the surface to be healed. We're learning how to honor the self but do harm to none, right? And this can be a very delicate balance sometimes. And we have to understand when we're talking about this what harm actually means. Because when we start standing up for ourselves, when we start setting boundaries, when we start living in our integrity, even if other people don't agree with it, it can feel as though we're being harmful, but that's not really being harmful. Harm is something different. Harm is what we can see in the greater collective, right? With this mind control, with this with this manipulation. Oh, that's great. I'm going to leave that in here. I'm not even going to try to edit that out. That was great. With this mind control, with this manipulation, with the way our perception of ourselves and our capabilities has been controlled, and we have been led to think that we are so much less than what we actually are. That is harm, right? There are examples of what true harm is everywhere. We're not going to get into detail, but you guys know the difference. There's a difference. And so it's understanding that and living in integrity in a way that harms none, right? And there is absolutely a way to do that. If we are living in true integrity, it shouldn't, I'm not going to say that. We're just going to leave it like that. And this is also going to be highlighting this Libra season theme, right? Of that balance between the self and others. How do we find that balance, right? How do we care for the self? How do we go after what has meaning to us? How do we live the life that we were meant to live? But in the same way, do that in a way, like we said, with harm to none, in a way that is fair and balanced and does take into account others, but doesn't put others above the self, right? I was going to say it has to be even, but I don't even know about even. The self has to be higher. Right? And this doesn't mean to be self-centered. This doesn't mean to be selfish in a negative connotation, in a way that doesn't take into account anyone else's needs or feelings. But it means taking into account your needs and your feelings first. putting yourself first. Yeah. And so I think that's all that I wanted to say before we get into the reading. Yeah. And we're going to have Mercury retrograde during that 10-10 portal as well, which is going to be a powerful energy all of its own, and I will get the video for that out soon. I will also be doing a video about the 10-10 portal with Pete from The Chosen 144. So any of you guys, if you haven't checked out his channel yet, absolutely do. And you can be looking for that. That should be released. I don't know. We're going to film it. We're going to film it on Tuesday. So sometime after that, that'll be released on there. And shortly after, there will be a video on here about that. I'm going to try to get that new moon video out first, since it is happening a couple days before. I love you guys so much, and I appreciate you for all of your patience. You're amazing. All right, so what do we want to call? I've been called to the Black Moon astrology cards. It's been a while since we've used these. Clear. Mercury retrograde, just in general. We know the general things. What's in the subconscious is brought to light. This is why a lot of times we have people reaching out from the past. It's because we were on their minds subconsciously, even if they didn't know consciously. And so that gets brought to the surface. You start missing people. We talked about some days where that was most likely in this coming week in the weekly astrological energies forecast. So I recommend that you check that out. It is a time, of course, Mercury rules technology as well. So we want to back up all of our files. We want to know that technology could get a little bit wonky. Communication could get a little bit wonky, because we are thinking and feeling and processing, we're thinking and processing from a different standpoint. An interesting thing about Mercury retrograde is people who typically are feeling tend to be more logical, and people who are typically logical tend to be more feeling. So that can throw us off balance a little bit too. So we want to take great care with our communications. We want to take great care with anything we're agreeing to in writing, any contracts, anything like that. We want to triple check them before signing them and agreeing to them. Verbal contracts as well. Be careful with making promises right now. You are seeing things from a different perspective. This doesn't mean that the way you're seeing them right now is the way that the way they truly are either. It doesn't mean it's the way you truly feel. It just means it's giving you a different perspective. So best guidance with any major decisions is to wait until Mercury goes direct, and then you have the benefit of both viewpoints. And you can make a better decision from that point forward, because we may make decisions that we might regret during Mercury retrograde. We may make promises that we can't keep. There's a lot of things that could happen, so it's best to take this time to go inside, to allow this internal journey to occur, and then to come out of it with a bigger perspective from which to make decisions. Clear. This is in the sign of Libra, so partnerships are a big highlight, as well as, like we said, justice, fairness, equality, our beliefs, our ideals, all of that really, really coming into focus. That balance, that harmony, seeing anywhere in our lives that we lack balance and harmony, and coming into a greater equilibrium with that. Lots and lots happening here with this Mercury retrograde in Libra. Let's get some energy for this Mercury retrograde in Libra from the Black Moon astrology cards. First card out, Gemini, I think. So this is all about the mental body, like we said. The processing of information. The ways this also feels like a lot of integration and a lot of communication. So I feel like we're going to be getting communication, not just from people like we talked about, but also from our spiritual team. They're going to be very chatty and very active during this Mercury retrograde. So pay attention to what messages are coming through. Pay attention to what you're learning about yourself with this big moon here. I'm feeling that that new moon in Libra, and possibly the full moon as well, which I haven't looked into yet. The moons will be powerful this month. It's also this duality, right? Gemini is all about duality. And Libra energy is very much about this too, the seeing different sides of a situation. So I think that this retrograde is really going to be helpful in us seeing things from other viewpoints and perspectives that we hadn't thought of before. Seeing things from other people's sides, we're going to be able to move more into the gray area of life, right? Which Libra is all about. but also from that crystallize a perspective that is very clear coming out of this. Oh, it's interesting. You can see the twins in the moon too. And they look like they're merging. So this is like a merging energy too, is what I'm feeling. Like a merger. So that's interesting. This could be our masculine and feminine energies merging. This could be union for some people. For some people with divine counterparts happening or occurring, or like a deeper merging of yourself and your higher self. It's like, yeah, there's definitely that energy too, like a merging of the higher and the lower mind that's happening during this Mercury retrograde, where we're really getting in touch with our higher mind, and we're learning how to utilize that and how to call that into our daily lives, right? Which would be the lower mind, is what rules our day-to-day lives and stuff like that. So that's really interesting. Yeah, just this energy of merging aspects of the self, merging more deeply with others, possibly. Like we said, I don't go too deep into the whole twin flame thing and all of that, but it definitely feels like very unifying energies. Like if you have a divine counterpart in the non-physical, I'm feeling this even more than in the physical, like really merging and melding to a deeper level. But definitely, like we said, merging more deeply with the higher self as well, which is what that 1010 portal energy is all about. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, lunar eclipse change. Those moons, going to be huge. Going to be huge, you guys. I'm actually, because I haven't looked into it yet, I'm going to look real quick. Go through the month here and go see what we've got here. Yeah, what date is this? And I may cut this out in the editing, I may not. I don't think you guys really care all that much. So we're going to be having, is this a full moon in Aries that we're going to be having here? It looks like it's going to be a full moon in Aries. Yeah, because we've got the sun in the final degrees of Libra. It has Taurus here right now, but I'm feeling like the sun's going to be in Aries when we actually have this opposition. I'm going back a couple more days now. It's going to have to be. Yeah. Yep. Full moon in Aries. Yeah. So between this new moon in Libra and this full moon in Aries. And that's really significant, right? Because we have Libra, the sign of the other, and Aries, the sign of the self. And so that balance is so huge. Finding that balance. But there's major changes coming. Major changes in, like, these moons are going to provide huge shifts in our perception. Like these energies of these retrogrades that we've had. Something about the moons is really cementing in the energies and this process of evolution. And as our perception changes, as these belief structures change, as our understanding of our own capabilities and potential changes and expands, big changes on the outside too come from that. Because remember, we talked about our perception is what determines our reality. So as our perception changes, everything else changes too. Yeah, then we have solar eclipse revolution. All right, so lunar eclipse and solar eclipse right here. The masculine and the feminine is partly what that feels like, right? But this is like major illumination. And this is like, I feel as though we're being set up right now too for eclipse season. For these final eclipses, we were talking about that final eclipse of Gemini and Sagittarius. We had one eclipse along the Taurus-Scorpio axis, and we're going to have another eclipse surrounding the Taurus-Scorpio axis in November. Right, so huge illuminations. I feel like some of these changes too are going to be occurring for people. They're like, your shifting perception is what's beginning to create this change. And then as we move through eclipse season, it's just really going to be brought through that much more powerfully. Like, that's when those major changes may come to fruition and manifestation. And we have the Yod card, Destiny, moving you more deeply into your destiny, right? Moving you along that divine fated path. The path that leads to the ever-coveted divine purpose, right? Which we, of course, know we're always living and fulfilling in every single moment. But leading you much more deeply to a place where you can recognize that. Where you can see and understand everything that led up to that point. And how it was all necessary in order for you to be ready to fulfill your destiny. Then we have the first house, the body, coming out. Give me some more about this. We have Cancer, I feel. So we got the emotional body right here. So we've got shifts and changes happening in the emotional body as well, and the physical body, right? I'm feeling this as upgrades that we're receiving during Mercury retrograde for our physical bodies, for the expansion of our DNA, right? Yeah, with that Jupiter action, that feels really appropriate too. Like Jupiter has something to do with that. But Cancer, once again, is ruled by the moon. So that moon energy coming out very strongly. Yeah, so much happening. Pay attention to the moons. Pay attention to the cycles of the moons. What sign the moon is in. I feel like that's going to be significant too, as the moon moves through different phases. But she's really, I feel like the moon is working on us very heavily now, connecting us more with our souls, connecting us with our emotional bodies, connecting our logic with our emotional bodies. Yeah, tell me more about this emotional body. Then we have 8th house, endings and beginnings. Right, but this is another house that represents the soul here, the 8th house. We have the 4th house, which is ruled by Cancer and the moon. The 8th house and the 12th house. That's the trinity of the soul. Yeah. So really, huge upgrades in our emotional bodies, in our intuition. Your body, pay attention to your body, because your body is sending you messages and communication. And there's something with these endings and beginnings too. It's like your body's trying to tell you what needs to change, what needs to shift, what needs to end, what needs to start or stop. So really pay attention, because you're going to be receiving so many messages, not just through your mental space, but really through your body, and really incorporating and integrating a lot of these messages and downloads through the body and through the emotional body and through the heart space. Yeah, interesting. Anything else? And I feel like many people too are going to be able to sense these endings and these beginnings. They're going to be able to sense these shifts and these changes that are happening. And you're going to feel this, once again, you're going to feel this in your physical body. Right? You're learning how to sense through your physical body, how to use it as a sensory organ, if that makes any sense. And yeah, this is just like a huge rebirth energy to me as well, with this 8th house here. Right? Which is the house that's ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. Yeah, huge rebirths happening for people. Major past life initiations, just initiations in general. I was thinking shamanic initiations, which is interesting. And then we have the Taurus card coming out. But once again, Taurus is a very physical sign. So there's a lot of physical stuff. It also feels like endings and beginnings when it comes to your material physical world. So moving, changing location, changes in career, changes in money. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. when it comes to material stability, jobs. Then we have the 11th house, friends. I love that. That's funny too, because if you look at the quotes, we have I have friends. You guys probably can't read that. It's all reversed, but that's cute how that goes. So, and then the Aquarius card on the bottom of the deck there too, so that, and Aquarius rules the 11th house. So that's a lot of that 11th house energy here. So more stability too when it comes to friends, bringing more like-minded people into your realm, into your world. And really just the powerful stabilizing force that connections are going to make in our lives. Yeah, a lot of beautiful energy of connection here. There may be friendships ending, but if they are, they're welcoming in new ones that are more resonant and more aligned. It's like, and we've been talking about this energy for a while, right? This energy of calling in our soul tribe. Like, I'm definitely feeling that. This is also networking and connections when it comes to business, when it comes to career, when it comes to fulfilling your life purpose. Yeah. Anything else here? And Pluto transformation with Libra eye balance on the bottom of the deck. All right. So just huge transformative energies as we are moving through Mercury retrograde. And really it feels like being initiated by Mercury retrograde. And then, like we said, coming through in these eclipses. It's like Mercury retrograde is setting the stage in some ways for the rest of 2021 and all the powerful shifts and changes that are going to happen. It's balancing us. It's preparing us. It's shifting our perceptions in the way that they need to be shifted in order to allow for all of these changes to occur. All of these endings and beginnings, all of these transformations. Really beautiful. Yeah. And then we have fire element, desire, and on the bottom of the deck we have the water element, sensing. So that transformation of desires. Transformation of, we talk about it, right? Taurus, Venus represents what we value. Transformations of what we value, what has importance to us, and really like igniting this fire within us, where that, anywhere where that fire may have dimmed. But it's really like a whole new world is opening up to us as far as us feeling connected to our passions, what it is that we're passionate about. Yeah, just that with transformation and the fire element, fire is all about transmutation, right? There's just a huge transmutation energy, huge transmutation energy, and this deeply sensing, this water energy, this intuitive energy. We are much more intuitive oftentimes with Mercury in retrograde because it traditionally, and remember, like we said, if you are someone who has Mercury retrograde in your natal chart, or who tends to be more of a feeling nature to begin with, then it may make you more logical. But for a lot of us, it brings us more into our feminine intuitive side. So it makes sense that we have all of that deep energies, these deep intuitive energies coming out here. This transformation of the emotional body as well, of the psychic body, the sensing. Yeah. We're going to grab a couple cards from the Messenger Oracle here. What guidance do we have for this Mercury retrograde? Clear. What guidance do we have for this Mercury retrograde? Yeah, it's like things that we were once passionate about maybe fizzling out, and we may realize that we have new passions for other things. Or the way that we experience and express our passion is going through a transformation right now. We're becoming more aligned to our deepest passions and desires. Be vigilant. First card out. You were born to create. Second card out. Let's get a couple more here. And remember, we talked about it, this energy of vigilance, right? As we come into our mental empowerment, we have to guard that vigilantly. As we come to understand our truth, we have to guard that vigilantly, right? As our energy bodies, as our everything continues to grow and expand, we have to guard that vigilantly. Your ability to create, right? To create your own reality instead of having that created for you. Vigilantly guard that with everything that you have. Know that that is why you came here. You are a creator, so what are we creating today? And then we have heed the messengers coming out. And remember, Mercury was the messenger of the gods. And love that you are different. And that's beautiful because we talked about that a lot in the weekly astrology. So if you guys haven't checked out that video, definitely check it out. So there may be messages coming in. Like we said, there's going to be a lot of messages from our spirit guides, from the higher realms. Also messengers in your personal life. So pay attention to what resonates. Pay attention to who is giving you a message. If you are open to receive, you may receive messages in the most unlikely of places. Yeah, I feel like Spirit's going to be sending people messengers in the form of people, in all different types of forms, aside from just telepathic communication, like all kinds of different forms. So be open, be aware, pay attention, notice the synchronicities. She's got a bird on her shoulder too. So the birds may be messengers. Birds are known as messengers, right? So pay attention if you have birds that are visiting you as well. And honor what makes you unique. Honor what makes you different. Know that that's what makes you special. That's where your gift is. That's where your light is. Right? And that's a major message just in general from Spirit, is the importance of loving yourself for who you are, of loving those things that make you different and unique, knowing those as your strengths. If we are constantly trying to hide or deny what makes us special, how do we think we're ever going to find our purpose? And I love how Seek Your Destiny came out as I was saying that. How are you ever going to seek your destiny? Your destiny requires you to be exactly who you are. Right? Your quirks, the things that make you special, the things that make you different and unique, those are what lead you to your destiny. And your destiny is calling to you very powerfully. I want to hold that card up again. I feel like someone might want to see that. Look at that beautiful sacred geometry there. See this cat? See the empty space in the middle? The whole universe is inside of her. Right? I feel like there are messengers that may be coming through for some people too, in order to lead them further toward the path of their destiny. So pay attention, pay attention. And then we have with loving kindness. Enough said, right? And I put that down on top of be vigilant and you are born to create. You are born to create with loving kindness. And then protect the wild and green. I love that. So many people may be feeling inspired to really protect and champion Mother Nature during this time as well. And then we have make the sacrifice coming out. Give me some more energy on make the sacrifice. Need and necessity. Okay, so in order to have what you want, there are sacrifices that may need to be made. We're being asked to understand the difference between wanting and needing. We're being asked to really balance and weigh things out. So you've got the sun and the moon, you've got the yin and the yang, right? Which is very Libra energy. That balance. There may be things that need to be cut out in the short term, that need to be reworked in the short term, that need to be sacrificed in the short term for the long-term goal. Right? And this is part of the kind of wisdom that Saturn teaches us. So what do you need to cut out in order to have more time for what matters? Where does a sacrifice need to be made of your time, of your, perhaps when it comes to your spending habits, when it comes to whatever it is, in order to fuel and feed what is wanting to grow? Yeah. Remember, we don't sacrifice for others at the expense of the self, but sometimes there are sacrifices that we make for the people we love. Those worthy sacrifices. Any other energy for this here? See the signs. Yeah, right? We had, what was it? Heed the messengers and see the signs. So you guys, there's going to be signs all along your path. You're going to be receiving messages. So much that Spirit is like, it's almost like during this Mercury retrograde, Spirit's going to be like, hey, right here. Hi. And so pay attention. Listen to what Spirit has to say. Pay attention to the signs that Spirit is sending you, because it's all about this right here, baby, your destiny. Right? We have 2 cards that said destiny. All right? So you are being aligned to your destiny, but it doesn't mean that it's going to come without sacrifice. Right? You just have to figure out, like we said, what is that worthy sacrifice? And it's not going to come without vigilance either, so you have to be vigilant. You have to keep moving forward, regardless of whether you want to or not. And this doesn't mean like neglect the self, but it means keep pressing forward. Don't give up. Right? This is not the time for giving up. No. Yeah, we have stay strong and calm in the storm, and then challenge your perception, which I really like underneath those 2. Which, of course, is what Mercury retrograde is all about. Yeah, stay strong and calm in the storm. So if you are navigating stormy waters right now, first of all, pay attention to the signpost, because you're being guided out of that storm. You're being guided into the calm within the storm. Stay calm, stay centered, stay strong. So much of what we're going through right now is really, truly molding us into the person that we need to be in order to walk this path, continue walking this path toward our destiny. Right? It is cultivating us. It is shaping us. You know, but we can't lose our heads. We have to be calm. We have to continue to go within, continue to come back to center, continue showing up no matter what. And know that you are so much stronger than you may give yourself credit for. So much stronger than you may give yourself credit for. It's that quiet strength that we're being asked to call upon. But then on the bottom of the deck we have let your emotions flow and seek the lesson. So it's really about understanding the lesson, understanding what our struggles are teaching us. Allowing our emotions to guide us as much as our minds, like we talked about. It's that balance and harmony, right, with Libra. So we're not just balancing the mind, we're balancing the mind and the emotion right now too, to an extent. And we did that a lot last year with all those Mercury retrogrades in the water signs. So it's like, remember that, call upon that. Allow yourself to feel what you feel, but don't allow that to cripple you. right? That's mastery of the emotions. We seek the lesson in situations. We feel the emotions. We let those emotions be our guidepost, right? But we don't allow them to take us over. Just like we don't allow the mind to take us over. So incredibly important. Oh, interesting. So we had changes unavoidable when I was flipping through the deck here like this. And then we also had let two become one. So there's that merging energy again. The merger, you guys. I just like the sound of that. I think that's what I'm going to call this video, the merger. Right? The merger of the higher and lower self. The merger of the masculine and the feminine. The merger of the logic and the intuition. Right? The mind and the emotion. You and your divine path. The merging of you and your destiny. Oh, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful. So this Mercury retrograde is really lining you right up for what's meant for you. It is really lining us up for what's meant for us. Are you ready to take it? Are you ready to embrace it? Are you ready to take... I know Aquarius and I use Capricorn when I was flipping through this deck right now like this. Are you willing to take the knowledge and the understanding that you've gained, and are you willing to use it? And how will you use it most effectively? Are you willing to take the intelligence that your emotions are bringing you and use that? The lessons that your challenges are bringing you, are you ready to take those and use that? The strength that's been gained through the obstacles and the opposition, are you ready to take that and use that? Are you ready to take everything that you've gained, that you've learned up until this point, and use it? Because the world really, really needs you to. And I don't mean to put a lot of pressure on people necessarily, but it's like, this is what we came here to do. And no, we're not going to be perfect at it. And yes, we're going to have days where all we want to do is crawl under the covers and pretend the world doesn't exist. And you know what? That's okay to do sometimes. I do that sometimes. But the next day, we throw back those covers, we put our feet on the floor, and we get back up. All right. I love you guys so much. I appreciate you so very much. I hope you have a beautiful Mercury retrograde. If you would like any assistance navigating these energies, please reach out to me. My info is in the description box below. There are links to donate if you feel so moved to do so. Let's see what else. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button. It definitely helps to get these messages out to more people. I love you. I appreciate you. You are amazing. And I will talk to you very, very, very soon.